Hello there, everybody. It's Max from the Cheapest Critic Crew. This episode was recorded in December, right after the release of Boy and Heron. So if the timeline of this podcast coming out in May doesn't make any sense, well, blame me about that, okay? The episode should have came out like 6 months ago, but here we are now. Enjoy this episode, and there will be more episodes coming out in the future, as well as other videos that are in development. Thank you, and namaste.
Copyright striked.
And that's the intro.
Wait, did that actually cover it?
No, the copyright strike, just the copyright statement.
We're gonna get copyright striked.
You know what? Screw it. They don't need the context. Hello, everyone. It's time for the 5th episode of the Cheapest Podcast. We had a lot of stuff to watch over the last couple weeks. Also, I had a couple odd jobs. So we are here a little bit late. Again. So I'm the number one cheapest critic. My name is Maximilian. Maximus. I'm here with...
You go first this time.
Oh, fine. I'm Justin.
And I am Madison. And now Fargo.
That's not a good segue.
Anywho.
Oh, don't you know?
Anywho, let's turn our attention to Minnesota.
That's the one.
Okay, so we watched the rest of Fargo. We kind of ran into an issue because not all of us are planning this in the best way. So we won't name specifics here.
Shots fired.
So
The episodes were an hour long.
So
we had 2 weeks, dude.
Listen, I'm a busy gal. I got things and stuff going on.
Like Minecraft?
Well, this week it was GTA. I'm trying to finish GTA 5 for the first time.
The point of this is that we're going to change how we're doing TV because apparently 9 hours is a bit too much for 1 week and almost too much for 2 weeks. So we're going to change that a little bit.
Too much for one person.
Okay, let's just... Back to Fargo, actually.
Back to Minnesota in 2006.
It's a true story.
It is a true story. Every single event actually happened in Minnesota in 2006.
So we watched the rest of Fargo. We watched the first episode. We all were super hooked, and we watched the rest of season 1. And what did you guys think of it?
Oh, man. Such an amazing season. There was so much that happened. Every episode just gets more and more interesting, really draws you in. Character arcs are incredible. The villainous characters.
Are we spoiling this? I mean, this
Yes.
came out in 2014.
We can mention
definitely can spoil.
We can mention spoilers. We're just not going to go in depth because this podcast does not need to be 3 hours long.
Yeah.
We will actually be covering every single moment of season 1 on this podcast.
No.
Okay. Episode 2. It opens with... I actually can't tell you, honestly.
It's been too long. Well, first off, I would say episode 2 really shows off the pacing of the show. Because outside, I think, of episode 9 and 10, most of the show is taking place from 3 or 4 different perspectives. We got Deputy Molly, the young, perceptive police officer from the first episode. Gus, the police officer that let Malvo go. We got Malvo himself, our favorite character from the pilot, as he goes and does his own little wacky job. We'll get to that. And then Lester, who's just trying to weasel his way out of everything involving the murder of his wife that he hit in the head with a hammer multiple times.
He's the victim, guys. Don't worry.
He always wants to tell people that he's the victim. And does he believe it? Well, yes.
Yeah.
He deserves the best.
Because he never left his hometown, and he got bullied a little too hard
And
by
he-
his high school bully.
And his wife, and his brother, and everyone at work, But don't worry, by the end of the show, he got everything he wanted. He wanted the respect. Everyone treats him like a manly man now. He has a wife that he likes. Not enough, apparently.
Yeah.
Enough to have her get blown in the back of the head. Didn't
He's-
love her that much.
so despicable in that episode. That was so uncalled for.
He's very Walter White in that you pity him very much in that first episode, and it quickly becomes,
Well,
oh my god, what is this man?
Well, I would say Walter White, like, you understand his character, and as he's getting more and more evil, like, yeah, it is a slippery slope into the dark side.
I mean, well, it's not a very fair comparison because this was only one season compared to the 5 that Breaking Bad had to draw out his character, but
Yes.
I mean, same
Well,
premise.
I like the villains in this show are actual sociopaths, psychos. Like, Lester is insane and a stupid, insane person, but he manages to weasel out of so much because Saul Goodman is there to bail him out at every single. Hey, Saul Goodman bails them out just like the other show.
He just so happened to get the stupidest police chief on the case
Because Lester is a nice guy.
during the time
he's
of
not
his
worthy
killings.
of looking into your attention. What was your favorite subplot out of the 4? There was Molly investigating Lester, Gus learning how to man up and get revenge on Malvo for intimidating him, Malvo and his subplot just fucking around with people, mainly the supermarket king.
Yeah.
And then Lester just trying to
Entertainment-
escape and also get up on the abusers.
Entertainment wise, it's obviously got to go to Malvo, but my favorite is probably Gus, just because I like that he depussified himself.
I do like his character arc over the course of the show. He realizes his limits, but he also steps up to the plate after the first episode where he gets intimidated checked by Malvo.
Yeah.
He is such a charismatic person. He carries so much charm through his conversations, but he's also able to be intimidating. Billy Bob Thornton kills it. But you can also say that about every single actor in this show. There are a lot of surprise cameos in this thing. So many like actors you wouldn't expect. The most surprising, in
Key
my
and Peele.
opinion, are Key and Peele.
Yes.
In a dramatic project. I guess you can say dramatic.
So much so that it was, semi-spoiled for me. Justin said, Key and Peele? In the group chat, and I didn't know what he meant until they popped up.
Oh no,
I was like, there's no way that Key and Peele, and Peele are in this.
I didn't even say their names. I just said K and P.
Oh, well, I
In the group
I
chat.
knew what that meant.
And they worked because this is also a dark comedy. They're likable characters, straight men, to all the idiocy going around in that town. I love how everyone is an idiot except for Molly. I guess Gus's kid. Gus is kind
Greta.
of
Yeah.
Her name's Greta. Yeah.
I thought you were talking about Sam Hess's kids
For
for a second.
Oh my god, those two buffoons.
I loved how their characters ended up. We don't see them again after.
Yeah, it's literally just that first
There's-
episode.
There's one example of Malvo and his tomfoolery that he gets into when Sam Hess after he's killed Sam Hess and then he's like talking to them, he calls up the older one, pretending to be his dad's estate attorney, and says
that happens in the first episode, doesn't it? Didn't we talk about that?
Is it episode 1?
I believe so.
The whole show blends together. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. We're talking about the
we can
whole
talk about it
season.
again.
Point is that the older son hears that the younger son inherited everything, so the kid goes out and beats him, and I believe even shoots him with an arrow.
Yeah.
Well, that's later. 'Cause they beat it, so he
Oh,
beats
no,
him
no.
with the hockey stick first.
Oh no, they're just hanging out.
Yeah,
and
he accidentally hits him with the arrow later.
They're so
In a later
they're
episode.
so stupid. And I mean the mom is also stupid, but
The mom, I feel, is
she's trying to pull.
She's
trying to
not
play.
Stupid. She's just like indifferent and just wants her money and just wants,
I mean, she could have
She hated
got
her
the
husband.
she could have gotten her
Yeah.
money first before going in and giving this man the satisfaction. Like Siri, like Lester is a bastard, and somehow after that he gets another wife, a nice woman, by the way. Like, she does nothing wrong, and then he also locks his brother in jail, who starts to like him because he likes to shoot guns now.
Somehow his new wife, which is one of his coworkers, she's somehow like semi-intelligent, but at the same time ditzy.
Yes, because it's Fargo in this town. Every person in this town,
everyone's at least a little bit stupid,
except for like Molly.
Molly's
Molly's walking.
Literally the only one with half a brain cell.
Well, she's walking around like, wait a minute.
Gus gains half a brain cell throughout his story arc.
Yeah.
They didn't really do anything with him shooting Molly.
With Gus?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they got married.
It was just kind of like
he got married. He apologizes for it. She says, you know, it's an honest mistake because he couldn't see in the snowstorm and he didn't know that he was shooting at her.
Yeah, it also proves
Actually, no, that was when he left the police force,
right after the gunfight. Yeah.
We all had like a theory that it doesn't explicitly tell you, but we all had a theory that
because he quit being the police chief, police deputy, instead is a mailman.
He wouldn't have left on his own because he was so attached to the case.
No, I just think that he just realized that I'm not good at this. I'm not going.
They probably let him go after that, but he probably didn't put up much of a fight.
Yeah. To be fair, I like how his character comes to terms, but he likes being a mailman now. But at the same time, he's able to defend his family. Because if Malvo, he would have came around back to the police officer. You know that guy is petty enough to go around, come back to the town one day and be like, yeah, this guy tried to fuck me over. I'm going to kill him.
Yep.
Because he does that every time, apparently.
I gotta say, in relation to the Key and Peele thing, I was not expecting their deaths.
Because you thought they were comedy reliefs and then they get killed.
I have never ever have I seen Key or Peele die on screen in that fashion. Like, that was such a fucking shock to me when I saw it.
Same.
I was like, holy shit.
Malvo does not give a fuck.
Yeah. No.
Except when he gets caught in a bear trap.
I was just about to bring up the bone part.
How does Lester, out of all people, beat Malvo? I guess he doesn't because Gus comes in.
He slows him down.
Doesn't
stop him.
Well, he retreats. Like
Yeah.
Though if why would I guess Malvo is like, yeah, I'll get him later, but at the same time, just finish your food. Clearly, this man is actually a threat in some way because he's desperate enough to do anything in order to stay alive. I would have just killed him and then left, but whatever. I guess you couldn't really get around very well.
I mean, he had a broken leg, and he probably figured, he's in there with a gun. So as soon as he sees my shadow in front of the door,
who was the one that told the story about the bear and the bear trap? There's a lot of stories that are told that connect to
They're foreshadowing. A lot of elements are foreshadowed in the show. It's a very well written show.
It is.
Because he probably assumed that he would just bleed out like the bear did, because obviously a human is not as strong as a fucking bear, and the bear died in an hour.
Malvo probably would have lived if he was left to his own devices, which is insane. The man is unstoppable. I said he was like a Terminator. Like, he does not stop.
He gets shot 3 times
by Gus, and he's like super on top of things for the entirety of the show until that bear trap. Really a fun character, villain. His subplot, we kind of didn't really need it in the grand scheme of things. I know it's a tie into the movie, which I just saw. I don't think we needed that. I guess it's just there to give Malvo something to do because they knew how entertaining he was.
Was that whole Supermarket King subplot just like a tie-in with the movie? Like that was all that was?
I don't. Well, I think. Well,
I
everything is
don't
supposed to be
think
entertaining.
so.
Because me and Justin haven't seen Fargo. Max saw Fargo because it just so happened to be on
And
a
it
couple
was
nights ago.
it was actually incredible. We need to maybe watch that sometime.
No,
Yeah.
I think the I'm pretty sure the supermarket king was supposed to be his next job because in the
I think she's meaning in the purpose of the show.
Yeah.
oh,
Because they
It's
didn't
supposed to
really
be his
do
next
much
job.
other than just, oh, you killed my son. Ah, bada bing.
It's supposed to be entertaining hijinks and be a cute nod to the movie, I think. Because in the movie, I'm trying to be as vague as possible. One of the characters in the film has a case of money, has this evil plan, and he takes money out of there and buries the rest of it where he only knows where it's gonna be. Spoiler alert: it doesn't go well. So nobody knows where the money is. So the supermarket king, on his dying breath, can find the money, and I kind of felt bad for the guy. I know he did like illegal shit, and then he
Yeah.
had to give up all his money.
Killed his goddamn dog. That's when I knew Malvo was a bad person. Not the fact that
when you knew.
Not the fact that the first scene is him kidnapping a man and leaving him out to freeze to death. It was when that dog was killed that really solidified it.
Who knows what he was gonna do to that man
It's kind of like
besides kill him.
not to tie this back to Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
Oh boy.
Vince Gilligan, please call me. But you know when you don't know that Walter White is really that bad of a guy until he's. I can spoil Breaking Bad, correct? It's been over a decade since it ended. Until he's standing over Jane's body while she's ODing to death. So, you know.
Or when he poisons that kid.
Yeah, but that's not until you already know he's a bad guy then. I'm just saying, like, that's when it really, like, solidified with me.
Now, Malvo was obviously supposed to be like a supervillain. There was no point where he's supposed to be a sympathetic character.
No.
In the first episode, he's clearly shown to be evil.
Cartoonishly evil. Like, literally nothing good about him.
I find that so entertaining, though. He's such a fun antagonist. Like, he literally gets shot in the face, and he's still smiling.
Still breathing.
The characters are in the movie, too?
No.
No?
There's a completely separate story.
It's all different characters. Every season of the show is going to have different characters.
Yeah.
As well, so.
Well, I knew that. But the movie's also a separate story.
Yes.
So the movie is kind of like its own season.
Yeah, that stars Frances McDormand, William H. Macy, Steve Buscemi.
William H. Macy, I love him.
I guess you guys guess what show she knows him from. If that's not, if that's, I think they can figure it out already. So, any other thoughts we have on? I guess we should talk about Molly's subplot. We hadn't really talked about it. Her and Saul Goodman butting heads the entire time.
So after the original police chief dies in the first episode, you would think, with Molly being, super perceptive of things, that she would get the promotion because he even said that she would make a great police chief one day. But no, instead it goes to the police officer who is literally so queasy that he can't even stand the sight of blood at a crime scene. Police officer Bill gets promoted to the chief somehow.
Mr.
Molly, come look at this. He's got blood coming out of his mouth. I can't look at it.
and so now she's taking orders from an idiot, essentially.
She's like 5 steps away from someone in the case like multiple times, and then he comes in and is like, wait, no, you're going way too far. You need to stop it. You leave that poor man alone, okay? He's gone through enough. I've known him in high school. He got bullied, so that means he's all right with me.
Lester did not go through enough. Let's be perfectly clear on that. Lester could have gone through way more.
He broke his nose again, like episode 1.
Deserved. Least of what he deserves.
What was the point where you thought he went over the bar of no return?
Probably killing his wife.
Yeah.
Well, if this was real life, I would say yes. But in the
Yes.
context of a show,
Especially
no.
they portrayed her so negatively that first episode.
They definitely wanted you to root for her dying.
That's so
As fucked up as it sounds.
That's so dark.
Because you don't feel that way about his second Mrs. Nygaard. Which, by the way, that is a really funny moment where Molly gets the call for his second wife's murder, and she's just like, the other one?
I feel bad for that woman, but she won.
Yeah.
As far as like
She
his
just wanted
point
to go
of
to
his point of no
Acapulco.
return, even after he killed his first wife,
I mean,
straight up just lying to the framing his brother.
Yeah, framing his brother. Yeah.
Framing his brother.
Yeah,
Yeah.
after they started to have a relationship together because they shot guns together. I don't know. Conservatism, baby.
Hell yeah, Minnesota 2006. Housing crisis can't stop us, baby.
I do have one unanswered question. I mean, I'm gonna assume. I mean, we don't know if he let the guy go or not. But in the last episode, the guy that he kidnaps from the car dealership.
I think we see him over the wheel. I think he's dead.
You think he's
It's
dead?
implied that he's.
Yeah.
Because the car's completely gone later on. Like that second car is gone later.
Yeah.
So we don't know where the fuck he went. If he let him drive home.
No, Malvo was driving.
No, the guy had his hands taped to the steering wheel.
Oh, no.
That's another thing I can't forgive.
He's dead.
Malvo killed the dad joke guy from the store.
Yeah.
Rude.
Malvo is so, like, literally, we see in the 9th episode, he came up with this persona of his, and he just murders 3 people just for the fun of it. He doesn't even, like, he's trying to get a bounty on a guy. He's like, fuck it. I'm just gonna kill them. Just because. Lester's here. I found a new toy to play with.
Yeah, I want to scare him shitless, so I'm just gonna murder 3 people that I've had a close connection with. For 6
So what was his idea there? Was he because he was trying to get him to like help him out there?
I'm gonna say that he probably didn't want to kill Lester
at first until he hit him in the head.
Until Lester hit him with his fucking award, with his salesman award.
And then he could have killed him right there, but he wanted to play the cat and mouse game.
Well, considering going back to what Max asked about him wanting to kill the 3 people, or did he want to kill the 3 people?
I would
say
no.
He did. Well, at first because he wanted the bounty, but then it's not like Lester was going to be that big of a problem. He could have just been like.
I mean, I feel like Lester was just more fun for him. Like he had more of a history with him.
Like he had said to Lester, he spent literally 6 months going through the process of assuming the identity of a dentist, actually working on people's mouths,
and then he threw it away just because, like, whatever, it's fine. Like, it's just all a game to him.
He doesn't care. To show like the amount of lives that he's probably lived. Like, if
he's actually
all of
psychotic,
that work was just 6 months.
That's part of being a hitman, is you just assume a bunch of random identities.
Yeah. Like, he had the opportunity to just, turn him in. But he's like, meh, I found a new toy. It's fun. Lester's gonna be like, I can maybe get him to help me carry these bodies out. Maybe I can teach him. Maybe that was the attempt. And then Lester's like, this guy's like fucking insane. And then he tries to escape. All Malvo needed to do was just shoot him, and then it would have been game over. But he's like, okay.
Did it have to do with Dennis Reynolds?
Oh, he was a great character. I forgot about his fucking character. Holy shit. That just shows you like how much happens. Like completely forgetting about that entire storyline.
Yeah. So the guy who plays Dennis Reynolds in It's Always Sunny plays a aerobics fitness instructor in the show.
It was part of the Supermarket King because he was getting blackmailed.
Yeah,
and it was a random guy who heard his wife talk about in his class that she knows what he got his money from. So he's like, I'm just gonna blackmail him. It'll be
Yeah.
fine. Not realizing that they would send a hitman for him. But then Malvo's like, actually, I want to fuck him over. So it's not even for like, he just wants to have fun.
Yeah.
He's like, it's so.
That whole house setup was fucking crazy. He had like tripwires, and he had him for. Back to the idiocy of this town. The first thing
This is a
that the
different
police
town.
say
This is Duluth.
is a different.
Duluth, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's at Minnesota.
Same
They're
premise.
they're spiking the drinking water in
But, like,
Minnesota.
Yeah.
I think they're. I'm not sure how far away each town is from each other. I would gather maybe like at
Just-
least a
yeah.
half an hour drive.
Yeah, probably.
The first thing that the police say about it is, "Oh, that's the weirdest suicide by cop I've ever seen. My brother in Christ. He had duct tape over his mouth and he was strapped to a seat with a gun on it. Does that
He was strapped to
doesn't
a
look
treadmill with a gun on it.
yeah, does that not look suspicious at all? Like you think that's the way that he chose to go out.
Well, I mean, to be fair, there have been a lot of weird cases of
He
suicide by cop.
looks kidnapped. He looks like he wasn't supposed to be there.
They don't
he
even consider it. They're just like, well,
No, the thought doesn't even cross their mind. Like, oh, suicide by cop.
I
I get to go home and eat donuts now. Idiots.
Even though I absolutely despise him, Lester's arc seemed to be the one that
it was the most shocking. How low he was
Yeah.
willing to go. How the hell did he escape his house, by the way? With all those cops there. Like, Molly and Gus were just gonna, I guess it takes a little bit of time to work through Bill. Sure, let's just assume that. He was done after that case, but he was still being a stubborn mule. So, Lester was able to escape with a snowmobile. And he gets caught trying to cross the border. And then he dies. I will say, his death, I kind of wanted to see,
Yeah, his death wasn't the most satisfying.
I kind of wanted to see him cry a little bit.
I
Or get him,
wanted
he should have been
him to,
arrested,
like,
to be honest with you.
feel
I think
the loss from that.
I think his death is more poetic because when
Yeah.
when the two hitmen came for him in one of the earlier episodes, that's what they were going to do to him, was drill a hole in a frozen lake
Yeah.
and
Because
throw him in it.
that's established in the second episode. Fucking horrible way to go out, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, he
Well-
just kind of falls into the ice
And
yeah,
dies.
that's it.
Well, I felt like
Yeah.
it would have been more satisfying if he got arrested. So, I would say the show was really entertaining. It kind of lulled out in the middle because it kind of was formulaic. Seeing Molly try to get Lester to talk. Lester says, "Leave me alone, okay? I've suffered enough." Bill coming in is like, "What are you doing? I told you to stay away from Lester. He suffered enough." Then Malvo is messing with the supermarket king and doing that subplot. It gets a little bit lull in the middle, but once Lester gets his way in that 7th episode, the insanity that was, and the car shootout, really good episode. 6, I would say like 4 and
That's
5.
what I was gonna bring up. The whole thing with his son bringing a gun to school.
Oh yeah, his
Well, that was-
brother's son,
Yeah, the
his
frame.
Lester's nephew.
Yeah, I feel bad. Well,
So I think Lester
Ultimately,
Lester
his
put the
brother
gun in his
didn't
backpack,
really
right?
do anything.
Like, yeah,
his
he-
brother's just as innocent as his wife was. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
they were kind of dickholes to him, but I mean, shit.
I'm forgetting. Did Lester put the gun in the kid's
Yes.
backpack?
I think
Yes,
so.
yes,
I think
he
it
did.
was implied.
Yes, he did, so they can go home and check his gun locker, and then that would be the framed evidence.
Okay.
Yep.
Because, like, in terms of what he does to Lester, he says that you suck for breaking my gun. I tell people that my brother is dead because I'm so ashamed of you. Which, what the fuck? But
Yeah.
no wonder this man snaps. But, I mean, Lester turns out by the end of the show to be the absolute slime ball. and we're happy that he's dead. Though I wish it would have been in a more satisfying way. I kind of wish that he was arrested again, but
If they needed to kill him, they should have shown him like struggling on the ice, because I feel like that.
like he's desperately trying to get away, but it was all for naught. I guess they kind of did that, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
again, I felt like it
They
was
didn't
too
do
sudden.
it strong enough, I don't think. Yeah. They could have drawn it out just a little bit more.
Like the ice is breaking, but like he's falling in and he can't hold on. I know it might
Yeah,
be a
and
little bit
it's just
too
him going
dramatic and
over-
formulaic, but I don't know.
Maybe. But it's just him going over like, oh, I killed my wife, and I killed my other
No,
wife.
no,
and
I
framed
wouldn't
my
do-
brother.
No, I
and then-
wouldn't do that. That would be annoying. I would be like,
Well, not.
like
I'm
he's
not talking like flashback.
no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't even.
him crying.
No, I wouldn't even have him talk. Like he's just trying in desperately,
Yeah, that's exactly what I was
like an
thinking.
animal like caught in a trap. But it's all for naught.
A bear trap.
I don't know.
And
I think
cut scene.
no. I think him just falling in the ice. You don't see him do anything else. It's just that's right where he ends. He does not get any more time.
I guess that's more.
In the
He
world.
doesn't deserve respect.
Yeah,
After
he
all
gets
the shit he
nothing
pulled.
else. He doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't get to struggle.
That's a way to look at it.
He doesn't get to struggle anymore. He boop right into the water.
Yeah, he's just done. I love the happy ending. Oh my god, I love the happy ending for Molly and Gus. Very satisfying,
It's very wholesome, very found family.
and I enjoyed it.
The pit. Okay, we're going too far into this, but one last thing, because it needs to be mentioned, because he needs respect. The paint bucket guy,
Vern.
the chief,
The original chief of
Vern,
police?
yes, in the first episode, he just needed a little shout out because Mans didn't even get to see.
He was
his-
competent too. He wasn't
Yeah.
like the others.
Yeah, he was literally just going to check it out.
He was maybe more competent than Molly was because he noticed some things that she didn't even pick up on. In
Yeah,
the first
Lester
scene.
was pretty convincing, banging his nose against the wall.
Yeah,
So I'm giving Fargo season 1 an 8 out of 10.
I'd say 9.
8.5.
So I'm very happy. So when it comes down to our next show, we're adding Fargo season 2 to our wheel, and we're keeping the same 4 options as before with our 3 shows and the chaos pick of Xavier Renegade Angel, but we're also adding Justin's new suggestion. And what are you adding to the list?
So I suggested The Last of Us, as I have yet to see it, and I don't know if
I have,
any of
but
you-
it doesn't matter.
Okay.
And the other shows include Better Call Saul from Madison and Beef for me and Xavier Renegade Angel. So first show to get it. We're not doing best of 3.
Okay, but before we get to that, how are we doing the episodes or the TV shows now? Because you said you were changing it.
Oh, wait.
Are we just doing the first episode now and not the entire season?
No, we're not. Okay. Also, we got some new rules for how we're going to cover TV shows. The first week, we're going to be covering the first episode of the season. Second, if we like the show, we'll keep going. We'll cover the episodes up to the mid-season, halfway through. And then the last episode will be covering the entire season. So if we like a season from beginning to end, we'll cover it over 3 episodes of the podcast. However, if we don't like it, then we just stop.
Okay.
So we don't.
And it's a 2 out of 3 vote for not liking it,
No,
I assume.
I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go.
Okay. Fair enough.
So,
Spin!
so actually,
Wheel!
since it's still 5 options, we'll still do first 2 to 3.
Yeah, that's not so much. Come on, baby!
First show, Xavier Renegade Angel.
Oh no!
We-
First to 2 points.
I swear to God.
We got
Beef. I'm not mad at that.
we got Fargo season 2.
No.
Why are you saying no? It was a good show.
I don't know how season 2 is gonna be.
We got Better Call
Literally
Saul. Okay, what's your guess? What do you think is gonna get it?
Did it get all of them? It
Yeah.
didn't get the last.
It's got
No,
four of them so
The
far.
Last of Us
Yeah,
is.
it didn't get the last.
Okay, we gotta get The
Damn,
Last of Us
The
in
Last
there.
of Us is out.
And the show
No!
and the show we're watching next week is the first, I guess, 2 episodes of Xavier Renegade Angel.
Oh, man.
I have a feeling this is gonna be a 1 episode thing.
You guys have to be stoned and watch the show.
I'm not
And
going
this
to be
is-
stoned to watch that.
What?
gonna
This
give me
is
nightmares.
What?
It was an anime that you chose?
Yes,
No, it's an animated
it-
show. You remember the animated
Animated-
show?
on HBO.
It's like an Adult Swim style with the dude that's got the
No,
bird
no,
beak
no, no, no,
on
no,
his
no, no.
face.
How the fuck did that get put on there and I didn't fight it? I was told that it was an anime, not an animated.
It's a chaos pick. It's gonna be
The
entertaining.
chaos pick isn't supposed to get chosen.
I gotta figure out what to replace it with
That's
now.
gonna have to be a one and done.
Maybe you might find it so entertaining that you might
No,
watch up to the
not.
mid-season.
Listen, you already showed it to us before, and we weren't digging
I
it.
didn't show you the whole episode though. So next episode we'll be talking about the first 2 episodes because they're short of Xavier Renegade Angel, and we'll see if we want to continue that. Spoiler alert!
I don't think
I'm so happy we we mixed it up. We had one good show.
it was so close to being Better Call Saul.
The top 10 this week was actually pretty interesting at the box office. While it was pretty low, we did have a surprise number 1. The Boy and the Heron actually debuted at number 1 at the box office, becoming the first ever number 1 for Studio Ghibli, Hayao Miyazaki, any of that. The first original anime to be number 1 at the box office, and the first 2D animated film to be number 1 since 2009 with The Princess and the Frog. So, hopefully this means something for 2D. But we also got something to talk about because we actually watched it together in a theater. We saw it in IMAX and someone was smoking in the theater.
Yeah, it kind of brought down the experience a bit to see someone's smoke clouds constantly going up every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Movie
It
was
very
good
annoying.
though.
Yes, it was a very entertaining movie. It was up there on the list for me as far as Studio Ghibli movies that we've watched so far.
Well, you did put it 3 out of 4.
Well, I mean, at least it's not at the bottom.
Madison put it on the bottom
Yeah.
out of
it just
3 that she
wasn't-
watched.
It wasn't Ponyo.
Ponyo was insanity. Unhinged and also adorable. I think this movie is very introspective, deep, but also very creative. I would say that the first 30 minutes are really great, showing that emotion, that whole mysterious aura of what's going on. I love the slow introduction of the magic into the world, but we're focusing on this kid and his struggles and how he's a little tough around the edges. He's trying to figure himself out and his ego after, the country is losing the war. I think that's very interesting. The movie itself, there's a period where the characters finally enter the mystical realm, and then it starts to get a little bit dull for a little bit because we're still trying to figure out what's going on, and the movie doesn't slow down. They're introducing a lot of elements. I think in terms of world building, that didn't work, but the last, I would say, 30 to 40 minutes of the film, it really picked up again.
Yeah.
Got really funny out of nowhere and extremely entertaining in the set pieces, and I really like the message of the movie and how that was portrayed, and it actually meant something. I say this because, a lot of people are speculating what's going to win Best Animated Feature at the Oscars this year. A lot of people are saying Spider-Verse. A lot of people are saying this. And idiots in the corner are saying Mario. Ignore those people. They only watch like 3 movies a year, and Mario isn't made by Disney, so they're like, it has to be the best then. And anime is too weird. Ew, it's foreign. It's not made for children and mainstream audiences. That means I'm not watching it. That's some Digimon Pokemon shit. Fucking racist.
So, I would say this movie definitely subverted my expectations in terms of where the plot went. I'm not gonna, we're not gonna spoil anything here.
No spoilers. It just came out.
Yeah, since it's a really, really recent movie, literally a week old.
Unless you're in Japan, you guys are lucky.
The only thing I will say is, in the few Ghibli movies that I've watched so far, this one had the most blood I've seen.
So I feel this is definitely the most for mature audiences out of the ones. Princess Mononoke, if we ever watch that, that movie's fucking brutal, man. Decapitations, arms flying off, the animals with a bunch of blood coming out of their mouths as they go into battle.
Oh my.
It's also made by Miyazaki. There are other movies by the studio besides Miyazaki. We just got to get there at some point. Maybe Castle in the Sky will win, and the oddball picks will take over the show. But I feel like the imagination of Miyazaki always shines through. And did you guys feel like this movie benefited from his imagination rather than a straightforward story? Or
yeah, I mean, it wasn't a, definitely not like a subpar movie in any sense. Like it was really, it was entertaining for what it was. I'd say it probably ranks at about like a 7.5 or an 8 for me. All in all,
I think that this is a perfect modern version of something like Alice in Wonderland, because it's just the main character who's an oddball in this mystical, weird world, going in and experiencing all these like weird and exaggerated creatures and learning about the world as he goes. And I found that really interesting. I don't think the main character himself is as interesting as some of the other Ghibli protagonists over the years. Like, for instance, a Chihiro. But granted, I say that, but Chihiro is like one of the most fleshed out main characters in any movie, as she has like one of the biggest character arcs I've ever seen. Like, not every character is gonna be like that, but I think like Princess Mononoke, Kiki, there's also like other characters that I feel like are more fleshed out than Maito. But I feel like the side characters are entertaining. I like the Heron. I like the grandma that accompanies on the journey. And the third act, I'm not gonna say exactly what the threat is, one of the threats, but they are so entertaining.
I will say, I mean, we watched the dubbed version, and the star-studded cast for the English dub absolutely kills it.
Is there any actors do you feel like, yeah, perfect casting, right on the ball, really did a good job?
Willem Dafoe.
In his one scene. He does do a good job in the one scene, but obviously the standout that came out the hell out of nowhere before
Robert Pattinson?
Yeah.
With the voice that, like, I didn't even recognize it was him at all. Like, he masked it so well.
Remember? A couple weeks ago, Max sent the trailer into the group chat, and it literally said something about Robert Pattinson. And then we went to go see it, and I completely forgot that he was in it, because you don't know.
He does a great job in the movie. But again, this whole cast, I think Florence Pugh is also pretty unrecognizable because she has to play an old lady, and then she also has to play a young lady.
So let's not spoil who Robert Pattinson is, because let's see if people can go and figure out who he plays before they see the credits.
It was kind of hard to follow for me, but that might be because I have smooth brain.
Don't stop being mean to yourself.
One thing that I noticed is there's not as many, like, monsters, or, like, not necessarily monsters, but, like, creatures as the other films that I've seen.
I think it works.
Ponyo was full of them. Like, they had all the sea creatures and, like, the wave monsters and everything.
You seem to have a problem with this because when we watched Totoro, you were like, you know what this movie needed? More creatures, more spirits.
I like Studio Ghibli creatures.
So you're
I
like,
think they're very creative, and I want to see more of them.
you're like, Miyazaki, I came here for your creativity. Give me more creature designs.
There was only like the little white bubbles in this one, wasn't there? There wasn't that much.
There was other
The
creatures.
little white
We're
bubbly
not. We're
things.
trying not to go too
Yeah,
specific.
I'm not
That,
gonna
like-
get into what those
Oh
were
yeah.
at all.
They hold their breath and they go up in the air, and they're like Susie from Horton Hears a Who.
I've
Who?
never seen Horton
You
Hears
remember?
a Who.
You've never seen You've never been to Cole's?
I would say this movie is probably an 8 out of 10, 8.5 if we're doing 0.5s now.
7.5. 0.5 is for when I'm indecisive.
But I love the imagination, and I love how this movie takes its time to ease you in to the weird atmosphere. It kind of, when we go head first into it, though, halfway through the movie, it loses me for a little bit. It takes a while for me to get back on the horse, but then I'm fully in the saddle when it comes to that climax. It's a little bit predictable. There's not like twists and turns or anything, but it's so nice to see another Miyazaki movie. It's been too long, man. I know you said you were going to retire like 4 times. Please don't retire. Even though this does feel like a definitive ending for him, the ending and the message of looking back on your legacy is definitely there. I understand, like, that's definitely seems like a definitive ending for him, but we can't lose. We can't lose our last bastion of 2D animation this good. Seeing this in IMAX was such a beauty. It really makes me miss 2D animation.
Do you think if he actually retires that he's gonna let his son take over?
No. He's not taking over. His filmography, if we get to Tales from Earthsea and Earwig and the Witch, you're gonna know that he is really, really not capable of doing that. Abysmal.
Miyazaki has no son.
He might actually feel like that.
Just disowns him.
You made bad movies.
That is not fair. That's like
That's not fair to
comparing-
Goro.
That's like comparing Michelangelo to Michelangelo's son.
We don't know about Michelangelo's son. We don't know the failures that he had. Anyway, we enjoyed it. I would rank this out of the 4. I've seen more than 4, but for the sake of the podcast and keeping it consistent, I think that this is probably my second favorite out of the 4. Spirited Away is a masterpiece.
It is.
I will say, like, I thought of it as a kid. It gets better as I grow up, and after rewatching it and thinking about it more and the themes and the world and the character growth and the comedy, it all fits in perfectly. That is Miyazaki, I think, at his absolute peak creativity and power. But this, I feel like it matches his wisdom and how he feels about life right now with all that skill and experience. And it is a beautiful movie. Please watch it, especially if you're saying animation is cinema and only watch Trolls and fucking Mario and shit. So that was The Boy and the Heron. Other box office news include Godzilla -1 continuing to do well, and Beyonce falling off a cliff because concert movies don't hold up that well. God, what do you have against Beyonce? You were so happy when Taylor Swift was ruling at the box office with her concert. So what's wrong with Beyonce, huh?
Well, the movie is fine. I did not enjoy the Taylor Swift fans at the movie theater.
So you went to go see it?
No, but I saw a bunch of videos of how
TikToks,
people
yeah.
were acting.
They were doing
In a
friendship
theater.
circles
Yeah.
and dancing in the theater.
Yeah, maybe don't do that.
Those are your fellow Swifties.
I mean, if you wanna dance in a theater, go ahead. And I never said I aligned with the fan base. I
Dude,
said I
you
aligned
give
with-
every song that she puts out a 10 out of 10
Yeah,
perfect
yeah,
score.
yeah,
Well, we'll
yeah,
get to
yeah.
that at the
I'm a
end of the
Swiftie.
year.
I'm not in the fan base
Yes, you are.
because it's cringe.
You're not.
If you want to dance, if everyone's up out of their seats and dancing, go ahead. But don't sing along and scream and make a whole bunch of noise.
I will never forget watching Killers of the Flower Moon, and then during a pivotal talking scene, I hear Cruel Summer in the background.
Fun experience.
It's a good movie. But I did see a clip of the Beyonce concert. There was like a group of actual hired dancers at the screen before the movie started. I don't know what type of theater this was. It was probably a premiere or something. And then they were singing along to it. I'm sure the concert movies are fun. I like Beyonce more than Taylor Swift. I'm still not going to the theater, though, to a concert movie. I just don't. But no, I'm not going to see a concert movie. Anyway, so we had to watch a cinematic experience this past week. 2 weeks. Yeah. Fuck me. Justin recommended because of Madison.
Scooby Doo Duologies.
Yay! Raja Gosnell.
Scooby Doo and Scooby Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed. What a trip that was.
The two best cinematic masterpieces that ever graced the early 2000s.
No.
I'm gonna get
perfect casting.
I need to get some mouthwash to wash your mouth out of that statement.
Replace the word masterpiece with disaster piece, and then we'll talk.
Perfect casting.
I actually will. No.
Sarah Michelle Gellar and
Freddie Prinze Jr. can go.
Yes, that
those two.
Name.
Those two can go.
Can go.
They're not that great casting. They're kind of boring in their roles. I think Linda Cardellini and Matthew Lillard.
They're supposed to be the boring ditzy jocks.
I don't give a shit.
That are just in love with each other. And
not really. They're not even in love in the first movie.
Velma loves
random
makeup.
guys. Can we? So
it's a lasting cast because they're still together in real life, as far as I know. I did not fact check that. Actually, that might be wrong.
So we're gonna start with Scooby Doo 2002. And if you guys hadn't heard the story, I probably explained it in the group chat. But essentially what happened was Warner Brothers wanted to make 2000s edgy comedies. So they looked in their IPs that weren't exactly the hottest at the moment. They got Josie and the Pussycats and Scooby Doo. So they had one team work on Josie and the Pussycats as PG-13 comedy. And they got up-and-comer writer James Gunn and the director of Big Mama's House, Raja Gosnell, to do Scooby-Doo. Josie.
And they, pardon my French, fucking made history.
Just get out of my way for a second. I'm telling a story. Josie and the Pussycats failed the box office. So Warner Brothers panicked. It was like, oh shit. The cartoon to an edgy teen comedy is not going to work. So they had people come in at the last second, do reshoots to make it a kids movie. And it worked until the sequel came out. And then it didn't work.
I don't know how it worked the first time.
This is one of the rare occasions where the first or the sequel is better than the first movie. Fucking fight me on it, okay? The sequel was better than the first movie.
You should see his face. I can't wait until we get a camera set up.
Way more iconic scenes that have been ingrained in my brain since 2004 when this movie came out, when I was 3.
Okay, can we start with Scooby-Doo 1 first?
You were not gonna... Well, hold on. You were not gonna tell me that Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed, has more iconic scenes than Scooby-Doo 1, which has the very, very infamous fart battle scene.
Now that's the second one.
Is it?
You
Yes.
proved my point, bitch.
Oh wait, no. Are you Are you talking about the scene in the kitchen where Shaggy and Scooby are shitting themselves,
yes.
or the one where Scooby deflects a fire blast with his ass?
Who gives a fuck about that? I'm talking about Shaggy with tits and then Shaggy with muscles.
So yes, you're right, Justin.
Yeah.
The opposite way, vice versa.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have forsaken you.
Yeah. I'm talking about when they're in the kitchen having a burp and fart battle in the first movie. That is the
That's
most
not
iconic
funny.
live-action
That's
Scooby
not funny.
scene. Yes, it is.
That's stupid.
I hated that.
The
That is
only thing that
the
came
most
out of
iconic
that
scene.
was the meme where he said, "Are you challenging me?" Which is a tie back to, sorry Max, Five Nights at Freddy's, because there's an
Okay.
edit of that
Okay, we're
where
not.
Shaggy goes, "Are you challenging me?" And then it switches to him as William Afton
Okay,
in the
we're-
Springlock
we're-
suit.
We've had enough.
No more FNAF.
Not until the
Listen,
sequel comes out.
that edit was clean as fuck.
FNAF is
and I
banned
loved
from
it.
this podcast.
I will talk about FNAF so long as things that we discuss in this podcast bring me back to it. The same thing I will do
This is,
with Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
well, let's try to avoid Bob Odenkirk now. And Bryan Cranston.
You can't avoid Bob Odenkirk.
He is in a lot of stuff that you don't expect him to be
That
in.
means we can't watch Malcolm in the Middle.
Bob Odenkirk?
No, for Bryan Cranston.
So, let's just talk about Scooby Doo 2002. Spoilers!
Oh. Ah, yeah.
For
this
this
21-year-old
yeah.
movie. Almost 22 years old.
So, this movie begins by having a classic Mystery Inc. case where they have a plan. Daphne's captured. We can't wait for this nuanced feminism. And we got Shaggy and Scooby. They save the day by fucking up. And then they unleash, they unmask the culprit, who's an old man who got rejected by a hot reporter. So he says, "I'm a George Clooney lover of proportions." And that's when I turn off the movie for the first time. That was enough. And I went to bed. And I had to watch it a couple days later. that was so bad. And the movie starts like that. And then immediately the next scene is that they break up. Second scene in the movie. Like, imagine you're a kid in the 2000s. You don't know what the hell Scooby Doo is. I was an infant. This was the first Scooby Doo experience I had. How the heck? Like, what emotional scene is this? We're breaking up, guys. I can't believe this. We've been together for a grand total of 5 minutes of screen time.
So they don't exactly tell you, but it's assumed that this is supposed to be like well into their career as Mystery Inc. And they've just had enough of each
they
other.
have flashbacks with
Oh, God.
fond memories of Scrappy Doo.
Ugh.
They have one flashback.
They have one flashback of their previous adventures,
with
and it's the
Scrappy.
worst scene in the movie. Actually, is it the worst scene in the movie? This movie's a fucking mess. But they break up because they're all stupid, except for Shaggy and Scooby. And the next scene was a stoner joke.
Yes, which is probably this is probably the only saving grace scene to come out of this movie is the so obvious stoner jokes that happen in it. Like, talk about toasted! And then it's them inside the van and they're using a fucking panini press.
I feel like this movie being
Because it's
an
clearly
adult film first
Yeah.
and then switch to a child's film has helped it so much.
especially for our generation that's
Yeah.
likes ironically bad things.
Oh, man.
I will say that I like the concept of the mystery. I don't like the idea, okay, we gotta make the Mystery Inc. crew split up and then they come together and they don't like each other and they gotta do all this bullshit. But I like the idea that they go to this college spring break resort and the mystery is that all the college students are now acting well behaved.
Yeah.
So they gotta figure out
Except
Back
when we
off
still-
my grill, son!
I like that's funny. Like that's a funny idea. I like Daphne's scenes in theory. Like she goes to a voodoo man. She's trying to gather clues on her own because everyone says she's stupid and can't do anything on her own and she's the damsel in distress. She goes to this voodoo guy and he's like, "Okay, you're an idiot if you stay here. Do not go up to that spooky tower over there." "Well, you want me to go up there." You're trying to use reverse psychology. So obviously, you're expecting me to go up there anyway because I can't trust you. So in actuality, I'm outsmarting you by going up there anyway because I want to run straight into your trap.
Unless
you knew that I would figure out that you want me to go up there, and so this is actually you reverse psychology me.
Like I
talks yourself to a hole.
I think that's really funny. But unfortunately, there's some really stupid bullshit, like Scooby in drag on an airplane, and Velma has to get a love interest that's in a grand total of 2 minutes in the movie, and Shaggy gets a love interest as well.
Yes, Mary Jane. Mary Jane.
Who's useless in the movie except driving a wedge between Scooby and Shaggy,
Yeah.
which we hadn't had enough driving a wedge between all the Mystery Inc. members. Because when you go into a Scooby Doo movie, you want all your favorite characters to fight against each other and don't like each other. There is some sincerity to that relationship, though. Like, I know I'm saying it for the Scooby Doo movie, where Fred says to himself in Dabney's body, I can look at myself naked.
Yeah.
I know that I'm saying...
Yeah, there was a lot of adult humor that they just blatantly kept in there. Like, I don't know if it was the first one or the second one. But...
The first one.
Well, no,
that
but...
edge does help that first movie, though,
Yeah.
because occasionally those jokes do hit, but a lot of the time you're just, like, shocked. Like,
Yeah.
I criticize Freddie Prinze Jr. and Sarah Michelle Gellar for being kind of boring. Let's give credit where credit is due here. Matthew Lillard was born to play Shaggy.
Absolutely.
The goat.
He kills it. I guess it's because he's one of those actors like a Nicolas Cage who commits to a performance no matter the movie. Even if it's the worst movie you've ever seen in your entire life, like In the Name of the King, a Dungeon Siege story, starring Jason Statham as Farmer. That's his name, by the way. He is going for it in every single movie. And in this film, Lillard gives the performance of his lifetime. He's sincere when he needs to be. He is so energetic. Perfect casting. Madison, since you're a staunch defender of this film, tell me what's good about it.
It's iconic.
Okay,
it's got
that's
the
not...
perfect cast.
No.
It's funny.
Okay, tell me some good jokes that we hadn't already mentioned.
That's not fair. You take all the good ones and then you leave me to fend for
if
myself.
It's that funny
with the bad jokes.
No, if it's that funny, Madison. Then...
Yeah, you mentioned the good jokes, the Mary Jane jokes. Honestly,
that Mary Jane is not a good joke.
A lot of it
it's
was
just
Shaggy and Scooby.
It's too obvious. We already had our stoner joke.
The only thing that kind of made me giggle a little bit, towards the ending, is they already made a joke before about the whole Mr. Do thing, because there's a phone call that happens, and the guy's like, I got a phone call for a Mr. Do, and the one student stands up and is like, Melvin Do? And he's like, no, Scooby. Later in the film, when they're doing the sacrifice scene, Scooby's like, bring me, he's like, bring me, Scooby Doo. And then Scooby's like, don't you mean Melvin Do?
I will say, and I already said this, but I like Monsters Unleashed more than...
Well, we're not talking about Monsters Unleashed.
Before we get to the Monsters Unleashed,
I have to say...
So it's not fair.
Another thing that was kind of funny is when Scooby and Shaggy are fighting amongst themselves.
Because they do that bull crap where, he doesn't believe me.
Yeah.
He doesn't like me anymore.
And then they start saying that each other's mothers eat cat poop.
Your mother eats cat poop.
Your mother eats cat poop.
It's almost like you're a good impressionist or something. This movie falls apart in terms of plot, though, because the mystery, like, there's some funny setup there, and then the movie falls apart because shit hits the fan, and it's revealed that the villain this entire time is Scrappy Doo, which is a joke that James Gunn probably had when he was on marijuana. That whole thing kind of pissed me off
because in the show, Scrappy is never that annoying, and also Scrappy is Scooby's fucking nephew, so like no matter
Scooby
what,
abandons him on the side of the road.
like Scooby would not do that is Scooby's sister's son.
It's funny because everyone hates Scrappy Doo.
Like them choosing to make Scrappy out of all characters the enemy is just so wild.
Like, well, the whole thing was like everyone hates Scrappy Doo, so and it's gonna be an adult comedy, so let's just shit on Scrappy Doo. But they don't set him up at all because he's only in one scene for a joke, and who else is gonna be the villain? So it's Scrappy Doo. Isn't it incredible? And then he becomes a kaiju monster, and we do more.
He looks so fucking weird.
Well, everything looks weird.
Out of all the
so
monsters,
like Scooby Doo looks fine, honestly, in a lot of scenes. The demons look bad, and Scrappy Doo looks horrendous.
Yes, that's what I was. The monsters, they look bad, but Scrappy looks, when he gets transformed, looks worse.
So, fun fact, Harry Potter and Chamber of Secrets came out this year, and Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, came out this year. And if you and Spider-Man, and Spider-Man looks like shit too. But
a blockbuster year.
Yes, but like I'm talking like CGI characters. Like compare the CGI effects in Harry Potter and Gollum.
So Harry Potter would have the troll, right?
That's a year one? Yeah, that's a year earlier actually.
Okay.
That's even worse for Scoobert.
So then the two towers, what would they have? The trees?
Gollum was introduced in that.
Okay.
Compare Scooby in this movie to Gollum. I wonder which one holds up more. Oh yeah, and Fred and Daphne get together. They don't have any. They don't have any scenes where they're actually like flirting with each other in this movie.
No,
There's
just like out of left field.
Honestly, if that was the joke, they should have just had have a bunch of people come together at the end of the movie, like, you guy, I don't know your name, but you're hot. That should have been like the joke, but I guess that could have been the joke, but they cut it out. We don't know what's left on the cutting room floor.
Velma hits it off with some random dude on the island, which he does not come back for the second film, but we'll get to that.
Is there anything that's actually good about this movie, aside from a couple of jokes?
We got Matthew Lillard as Shaggy. That's about all I can come up with.
It was painful. It was honestly fucking painful. And it ruined my childhood because I watched this movie so much as a kid, and then it just doesn't hold up.
It sucks because I also loved... my mom actually told me that I was completely obsessed with Scooby-Doo as a child.
You had it on VHS and DVD.
I had a bunch of VHSs. I had a bunch of the shows that were taped onto VHS tapes.
I will say, I don't know if you've seen this one. This movie is really similar to probably the best Scooby-Doo movie ever made, Zombie Island. Because Scooby-Doo typically is about catching a guy who set up this elaborate scheme in a mask. This movie, Zombie Island, those types of movies around this time were interested in saying, okay, they're used to unmasking real people. What if they're actually facing real monsters?
Yeah.
And I do think that raises the stakes a little bit, because, like, what are they really going to do in that situation? And I really like the idea that Scooby and Shaggy in this movie are mostly brave in the fact that they want to, like, save the day. They're not, like, that bad. We'll get to the next one. Their character arc is painful, but we'll get to it in a couple minutes. But it's time to give our ratings. This is a 3 out of 10.
I'm gonna be generous and give it a 4. I like Matthew Lillard enough that he brings it up a bit for me.
This is a 5.
Wow.
I'm interested to see your justification.
I'm more into Monsters Unleashed. That was the one that I predominantly watched.
How's those rose-tinted glasses fit on you? Why is this
We are
movie
going
good?
to keep this dead air in.
Why is it good?
I'm not necessarily defending this movie.
You gave
I
it an
just think
average score.
It set up.
It set up what?
It set up for Monsters Unleashed. Monsters Unleashed wouldn't have happened without this movie, therefore we need to give it credit.
That's not
reference anything from the first movie in the second one.
Yeah, but the casting and everything, so like it got it set up.
So what?
Do you not understand what I'm saying?
No.
The casting, they could have just
got
had
it.
that cast
Okay,
for the second movie.
How are you gonna have a second movie before a first movie happens?
But I'm saying
There's no relationship
they
between the
didn't
first
need
and
to
the
have
second
the first
movie. Exactly, because it's just referencing the old show
Okay,
in the second movie.
But if we didn't have that first movie, terrible as it was, which it wasn't.
So you're giving it a 5 out of 10 because of the sequel. It's your justification right now.
Monsters Unleashed, which is the better sequel.
We'll get to it. Why is this movie good? Specifically, this movie that we're talking about right now, where the villain of the movie is a joke.
Explain why it was good. Because
No, that's not a reason. You're saying that the sequel is good, so the first movie, by proxy, by being bad, is somehow average.
That's exactly
because
what
the
I'm saying.
foundation for nothing was there.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I'm so disappointed.
On to Scooby Doo 2.
Monsters Unleashed.
The better movie.
I don't know about that. At least this. So the first movie, for all its problems, and it's janky.
Yeah.
And it's obvious that it wasn't supposed to be a kids movie. This one, they're like, okay, we know we're making a kids movie now, and we know that we're making a Scooby-Doo movie. Let's embrace it. And there are a lot of scenes where it's just super fucking painful. The lowest common denominator jokes. The first movie had the terrible fart box scene. How about a fart fire blast battle? But the movie is about Mystery Inc., top of their game, and they're going to a museum dedicated to them. They're that popular. They get Burger King product placement, and they have fans.
And KFC.
And they go to this premiere, and the head of the museum is Seth Green, who's the love interest for Velma. I kind of love the fact that Seth Green was supposed to be like a really like star-study guy in the early 2000s, and he was appearing in all these comedies like Austin Powers and shit. And all I know him for now today is this NFTs and Robot Chicken. Yeah, he tried to make an NFT show, and then someone stole it, and then put it on ransom for $1 million.
Oh no.
And now Robot Chicken's canceled, so he's just on Family Guy now.
Rip.
Do you want to summarize the plot?
Of Scooby Doo 2?
Monsters Unleashed.
I literally watched the movie this morning, and I for the life of me, nothing memorable fucking happened in it. I don't remember too much about it. I remember the stupid skeleton twins.
Because, oh my god, you're so goofy, comedy relief, and...
That's like the most memorable part about it. That and the fact that the museum curator is like, you see him yelling at a goon.
Because he needs to take everything into his own hands. He's going to be tough on the street.
Yeah.
Even though I don't think Seth Green can intimidate a ham sandwich, let alone any goon. But the
that
movie...
was uncalled for.
The movie sets up this idea that he is actually a mastermind, the villain of the film. But obviously, if you have the IQ above 2, you can realize that Alicia Silverstone is the villain. Despite, oh no, she's not in the costume. How could this be? And then they pull something right out of their ass.
There you go. That's one thing that just came back to my memory is her. So she's supposedly a news reporter, and she takes everything that Fred says and
You're trying to make it seem like
out.
I think Coolsville sucks.
Yeah, so she just cuts around the parts where he says some not so favorable things. Makes it look like he's talking crap about their town.
I actually think that Freddie Prinze Jr. does a better job in this film than the first.
Are we just gonna forget about Leather Velma? Daphne?
We'll get to
Velma?
it. We'll get to it. I'll get to that bullshit, but
It's bullshit.
I forgot to mention in our Scooby Doo 1 analysis, they did try to give Daphne more to do, but it's just super on the nose, and I guess it was 2002. Whatever. They try to make her into a feminist icon, and she's not the damsel in distress, except she definitely was. It's not like she was competent throughout the entire movie. She needed to be saved by Shaggy. Shaggy is the hero of the original story. He gets shit done. But in this movie, she does nothing, actually. Like, she does martial arts. There's two main character arcs of this movie. Velma is conscious about the fact that she wants to date Seth Green. She's like, I'm not hot enough for him. Which, bull fucking shit. Linda Cardellini is so fucking hot. Daphne's like,
Tell us how you really feel.
listen, you're not gonna sit here
I'm agreeing.
and
Just
tell
saying.
me.
he's like Jay Schlatt. Beautiful tits and wreck.
She is hot. And then Daphne's like, well, we can make you into the chick that you want to be. And they took off her glasses and they put back her hair like a generic fucking supermodel. It's like, see, she's hot the whole time. They just need to take away her glasses.
Okay. That's not why I like that scene.
It's bullshit. Every single fucking Hollywood movie in high school, it's like, I'm so ugly. Takes off the glasses, combs the hair. Oh my god, look at you! You're beautiful. There's only one exception that I've seen to this rule, and it's fucking Cloudy with a Chance of Goddamn Meatballs. That is the only exception that I can think of off the top of my head, where it's like, well, you should be yourself. You don't need, because I guess American men, you're like, bro. You're more hotter when I see more of your face. You just wear contacts, even though contacts are the worst fucking thing in terms of comfortability and trying to get it out of your eye. It looks like a horror movie when you try to get those things out.
You're not catching me wearing contacts, I can tell you that much.
But yeah, that subplot's there. The other subplot, Shaggy and Scooby think that they're screw-ups. Yep. So they're going to be detectives. And then they don't learn anything by the end of the movie. Like, the character arc is like, okay, we're going to become more competent. But they never become more competent. They suck. I guess they get the clues. Sure, whatever. Fuck off. But at the end of the movie, they get themselves into this predicament where they're going to die. And Scooby literally pulls surfing skills out of his fucking ass in order to save the day. Like, so he literally just starts doing surfer skateboarding.
He is a man of many talents.
Out of nowhere. There's nothing before that. He pulls out a fire extinguisher, and that freezes tar for some reason.
Yeah, don't know how that works.
And he saves the day, and nothing else is mentioned about the character arcs of, okay, we gotta be more competent, or I guess Velma's like, I'm so jealous of you guys. You guys are so brave. I could never do that. But, like, that's not an ending to their character arc. Are you fucking... Velma and Fred and Daphne get more of a conclusion. And even then, it's like, they don't even do anything. Velma, like, Seth Green is never like, yeah, I like you just the way you are. They don't even do the bare minimum. It's just bullshit. Because they need to put in so much into this movie. They got like 10 different monsters in this story.
Yeah.
And like, I like some of the designs, especially the creeper. Like, that's a goofy as hell like monster, the zombie thing.
Oh, my favorite monster is the cotton candy glob.
Well, he only appears for one scene as a joke. Actually, that didn't look bad for 2004.
Eaten immediately.
The visual effects don't actually look as bad as the first one. I'll give it credit, but it still looks like shit.
I would say the tar monster looks atrocious.
How would you do? Granted, how would you do that effect? Especially since that thing spreads its tar everywhere and has to cover the human actors. By the way, the fact that is the most terrifying crap in my. I remember being terrified of that as a kid because I did watch this movie I think more as a kid as well because I mean the first one is just there's like a lot of jokes in that first movie that I just didn't understand because of poo poo brain, and this one is like you did the fart. It's funny. They went in the dumpster and they fought the skeleton twins. In terms of jokes that are funny in this one, it's like the cotton candy glob
Oh,
and Scooby has Riz and
there is a joke in this movie that has become kind of a meme in recent years. You know the meme of the kids yearn for the mines.
oh
When old what was his name? Old
man
Man Wiggles.
Wiggles.
When he's having a business meeting trying to propose this theme park where
Based on miners.
Yeah, where the kids go and spend like 18 hours down in the mines and it's free labor basically for them. Basically saying that the kids would love going down in the mines.
Okay. Sure. I'll give it credit there.
But I did not expect that. I was like,
this one just seems so lazy in comparison. They're just going by the emotions. They're trying with some of the emotional beats, but they seem so much less sincere than the first one, which is ironic because that movie is way more edgy. But they at least had compelling character beats with Scooby and Shaggy because they were together in the beginning of the movie, and it's more satisfying. In this movie, again, they pull shit right out of their ass. Yeah. And it's just has so many lowbrow jokes and the pop music and like they're trying to call back to the TV show.
Couldn't get enough Sum 41.
Both of the movies, their soundtracks are just they're so early 2000s.
Yes. Remember the Scooby Doo with Shaggy? Is there anything that this movie does better than the first one? Not counting visual effects, because obviously, like, I know you like it better because you grew up with it.
No, I like it better because it's the better movie.
Okay, tell me. Come on, hit me.
I'd say the villain is
Shaggy
better.
and Scooby.
So is that even like a bar?
Because it's like a double unmasking. Because they unmask the
bullshit.
So the masked figure is the reporter, but then the reporter is actually Jacobo.
Okay. It doesn't make
which is a mind fuck because the whole time they're saying like, oh yeah, Jacobo died trying to escape from prison. Yeah.
Well, it's like so obvious. Like obviously Wickles is not gonna be because he's the biggest red herring in the history of cinema. Like it's not gonna be him. It's not. So obviously, like who's left? Like in terms of characters, so it has to be him.
Yeah, but the whole thing is I didn't.
So you thought the joke?
You don't expect the reporter to be Jacobo. Thing.
It's such a weird joke because he's the body. It's like Face Off. Like they replace the face so the whole body changes.
It's Master of Disguise effects.
It's that logic. Sure. There's a weird joke because he has an assistant that has like 2 lines in the entire movie, a cameraman, and he's like, "We cuddled."
Oh, yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. Fun.
Scooby Doo homophobic era.
Madison, please say why this movie's good, because I know your ass is gonna hit this with like a 7 out of 10.
The potion scene.
That was so bad.
Dude, you cannot tell me that you enjoyed seeing Matthew Lillard's head on a female body in terrible CGI fashion.
It didn't even look that bad.
It looked so bad.
There's ironic enjoyment in that at least.
It didn't even look bad.
But the rest
I
of it.
got a chick's body.
It's not funny. I guess it's not funny to me. Perspectives.
That might be actually the gender swapping might not have aged too well.
No.
They did that in the first movie too.
Yeah, with the Fred and Daphne thing. I can look at myself naked.
I think Shaggy is like trying to look up Velma's skirt as well in that first movie.
Oh yeah.
It's so fucking weird.
Yeah, he did.
Like what the fuck?
Over it.
Like why? James Gunn, your humor did not age, and it didn't.
Although I will say, in Shaggy's case, switching bodies with Velma, he was kind of like freaked out about it too, because he's like, why am I wearing a dress?
Fred was clearly into the fact that, yeah, I'm a woman now. He's a little dicky.
Yeah.
Gross.
It's
Oh my
fucking
God.
awful. Anyway, Scooby Doo 2.
We don't need to talk about the parts that didn't age well. Okay.
So you're telling me this is a good movie?
As a whole.
Okay.
As a whole, it didn't age well. You don't want to talk about the parts that didn't age well, then we can't talk about the entire movie.
And being dogpiled on.
I want you to tell me why it's good. You hadn't even told me why you think it's good.
The potion scene.
Okay.
I like Leather Velma.
So what? You're a lesbian.
What is it? Wait, his name's Freddy in real life too?
Freddie Prinze Jr.
Freddy.
Yeah.
He was born for this role.
No.
What? He's so fucking boring.
Freddie Prinze Jr.
He's better in Star Wars
Freddie
Rebels.
Prinze Jr. and Sarah Michelle Gellar, to my knowledge, are still together.
So?
So, that movie affected real life people.
Again, I don't see what this has to do with the movie itself. Like the actual script, the way it was shot, the story, the acting.
Listen. It was
You could say that fucking Amazing Spider-Man.
Seth Green.
Okay. Was his character funny?
Good.
Was it hilarious when he fell over?
Good character.
No.
Yes, actually, it was.
No, it was not.
Very simple humor.
It was so drawn out. I think Justin is agreeing with me, so I don't feel like an asshole.
Yeah.
I feel like an asshole. I'm sorry. You can like the movie.
Yeah, I will. I will like this movie.
I think
But
it's
just know that you're wrong about it.
I think it,
Wow.
I think it's absolute dog shit or cat shit.
You just don't know
Scooby can eat it.
James Gunn's inner mechanisms when it comes
Oh,
to
God.
his creative pieces.
Scooby Doo is just everything that was wrong with the early 2000s. And there's edginess there that is ironically enjoyable, but I can't really attest to anything in these movies that were, oh yeah, I'm happy that that existed.
So I think I'm just gonna give it 1 point lower than I gave the first one. I'm gonna sit at a 3 out of 10, which is probably still too generous for Scooby Doo 2, honestly. But I don't know, just for nostalgia purposes, I guess, because I
7.
loved Scooby Doo as a kid. 7 is crazy.
Well, okay, let's be positive about her opinion for feminism.
For feminism.
The movie is trying to be
Like,
pro women.
I don't need anybody defending my choices. I
You're-
just need to be able to make them.
Okay, you're fucking wrong then.
Oh my God. Go back to defending my choice.
So I'm gonna also give it a 3 out of 10. I don't see a substantial dip in quality, or because the first movie is definitely more ironically entertaining, but like it's such a bigger mess tonally. This movie is consistently shit. There's not really a point where I'm like, it has less effort obviously than the first one, but I'm not like, okay, the bar has been dropped real low. So thank you, Scooby Doo. I've been ruined.
I've been ruined.
These movies were so iconic to me, and I had to watch them with my critical eye today and realize how bad they are. But there's kids' movies. They're not supposed to be. Okay, so who paid movie ticket money to go see them? Is an 8-year-old gonna pay for their own ticket? No. Parents paid for their ticket. They can't even pay their own taxes. The movie needs to be good for adults. Though my parents love Scooby Doo, so whatever. It's fine.
Point proven.
So that was Scooby Doo
2.
and 2. It's time for the movie suggestion wheel. So, Justin has replaced his suggestion, which fuck you, by the way, for making me go through that. I know that you were only fulfilling her request because she's like, the Scooby Doo movies were so good, And I thought, okay, I remember them being bad, and
You're right.
Justin has replaced his Scooby Dooology with
Pulp Fiction.
Fiction.
Pulp Fiction. Say what again?
why? Why are you so upset about that?
It's got Samuel Jackson and John Travolta.
And Uma Thurman and Bruce Willis and let's see, first to two, or maybe we'll make no
First to two.
Yeah, first to two, first to three draws it out a little bit. First, we got Castle in the Sky. Imagine the wild card gets it. Spin on the wheel. We got Pulp Fiction.
I swear to God, I will lose my shit.
Misery.
Hey, come on. Daddy needs a new pair of shoes.
And we are watching Pulp Fiction. Wait. You know that the wheel was acting really wonky there. Do we want to?
Yeah,
No.
It was
No.
acting a little wonky.
No.
I think Max
This
has
is-
a point. It was
This is
acting
not.
a little wonky.
No. This is not happening. That's two
Max-
votes. That's two
did,
for Pulp Fiction.
Did you see that though?
I feel like we
to
should
be
just,
fair,
we should refresh and we should
I
see
don't
what
think
happens.
it fucked up anything. It was literally like
did you see that though?
it's an automated wheel spin.
I know, but did you see it like glitch out?
It
I
was a
think that
little
was just
glitchy.
your. I think that was the ad reloading in.
No,
you might be
noticed, I noticed a bit of a stutter.
A stutter?
wheel.
Really? You didn't notice
Yeah.
the Timu ad that just took up half the screen
Yeah,
instead?
a little bit of
Fuck
a
you, Timu, by the way.
a little bit of a stutter that
No,
has caused
there
the
was
wheel.
not a stutter. Look, the ad just went away. That's what it was.
Okay.
Ah! That's just to prove my point.
Respin.
Wait,
Respin.
I'm actually really interested to find out what it would have been. Pulp Fiction's got it. Okay.
We're staying on Pulp Fiction.
If we didn't go with that,
That would have been Pulp Fiction anyway. Oh!
and just prove that it's not rigged. No.
3 more tries and it would have been Misery.
You're not allowed to have a movie next week.
No.
No.
that's not
You are
fair.
not allowed to have a
not fair.
movie next week. You are not allowed.
That's not how it works. That's not how it works.
Did you catch my reference?
Yes, I did.
Oh my god.
Oh.
I love the wheel. It's not leaving.
No, the wheel's a good idea, even though it's a son of a bitch.
I gotta find out a new chaos pick for our TV shows.
So once again,
It's gonna be such a weird
feels-
week for
feels-
stoners.
feels great to win. It's definitely deserved after we had to sit through 2 Scooby Doo movies.
It was your fault though.
In all honesty, it was kind of her fault. She was the one that was like, Scooby Doo, and then I was like, okay, fine, just to prove you wrong.
It was probably better than Click though, to be fair.
I'll wait for next week's suggestion.
Madison, do you have any thoughts? She's gonna hate.
Justin is a son of a bitch, and he rigged the wheel. He rigged it.
It went.
Him and Max are in cahoots. They have a private group chat, also known as private DMs, where they talk amongst each other and leave me out of it.
Sure.
Yes.
And
he
they
is,
rig the
He is
wheel.
my mommy.
Mommy is crazy. Hold on.
Speaking of who's my mommy, do you remember that quote from the second Scooby Doo movie?
Who's your mommy?
Who's your mommy? My mommy?
Oh.
Love that.
Do you? Why?
Love that.
Why is that good?
It's
I guess-
funny.
I guess it does have some adult jokes. Whatever.
It's funny.
What?
And
Go watch Peacemaker.
it's funny.
Go watch Slither. Slither is fucking hilarious. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Say it louder.
Bye.